Laura was thrilled and nervous about giving birth once again, but at the ripe age of 70. While the birth went off well, her husband suddenly noticed something completely out of the ordinary. 70-year-old Laura Palmer gave birth to her own granddaughter. The baby, which was a result of IVF, appeared to be perfectly healthy. The reason behind this rather unusual occurrence was that Laura's daughter was unable to have kids of her own due to complications. However, her desire to have kids was too great to ignore, which is why Laura decided to help her daughter. It was a rather complicated treatment. Inserting the fertilized egg was not the problem, but Laura had already reached a certain age, which meant that there was room for potential complications. However, it seemed to have ended well, but still, something was not quite right. Laura went through a series of tests before getting permission from the doctors. Her pelvic muscles were tested, the flexibility of her skin, and of course, the condition of her uterus, as this was where her baby would be for the next 9 months. It was surprisingly amazing. The doctors were stunned when they received the results. Laura's uterus may have been 70 years her senior, but it looked more like that of an energetic and fit 25-year-old woman. There was absolutely nothing that could possibly stand in the way of a healthy pregnancy. But then, what went so wrong in the end? The time for the birth had come, and they already knew that the baby was going to be a boy. Throughout the pregnancy, numerous tests were done to keep a close eye on the baby's health. While childbirth at this age was a little exciting, it was also a bit scary. You never know what could go wrong at a time like this. The delivery went off smoothly, but the doctors had decided to perform a C-section at the last minute. This was better for both grandmother and grandchild. Laura held the baby in her arms and then handed him to her nervous daughter. Laura's daughter was even more nervous than 70-year-old Laura. She couldn't imagine feeling too happy as someone else did the heavy lifting for her. But her mother calmed her down and told her that it was okay. Laura's husband and the 2 new mothers went home with their little baby, Harvey, but then the real drama began. Harvey had been at Laura and her husband's house for about 2 days. Their daughter and her boyfriend also stayed there. The baby had barely cried, and since they were able to care for the little one at this age, there was plenty of time to rest. But this unimaginable calm would soon turn into complete chaos when the strange news of little baby Harvey became apparent. Aside from his extremely special birth, this baby carried with him a much bigger secret. And it would be Laura's husband who would soon find out about it. Little Harvey was sitting on Laura's lap when her husband, Tom, saw him. The toddler was busy waving his arms as he enjoyed his bottle of milk. Tom stroked Harvey's head and smiled at his wife, but when he looked at the baby's head again, he noticed something strange. Harvey was born with a head full of extremely adorable little hairs as a tiny baby. But upon closer inspection, these little hairs turned out to be far from normal. Harvey's birth parents and grandparents knew not to wait any longer. Laura picked up the phone and immediately called the hospital. Even the doctors seemed surprised and thought it was a good idea to get Harvey for a checkup as soon as possible. Once the family had arrived at the hospital, the doctor who was present during the delivery also looked at Harvey's head. No one had ever set their sights on something like this before. The doctor then cut a few hairs from Harvey's head and examined it. The doctor took about half an hour to re-enter the room and had a big smile on her face. She sat down next to the birth mother and explained the findings to the nervous woman and her boyfriend. She told them that usually, with IVF, you would see a perfect match between the child's DNA and that of both donor parents. However, there was a small mutation in Harvey as he had not just 2 matches but 3. The third part of the DNA present belonged to that of the surrogate mother. Laura couldn't believe what she was hearing. She was just the surrogate, so how was her DNA present here? The doctors told them that, in theory, this was possible. Having lived in Laura's uterus for 9 months, Harvey could have picked up small characteristics from her. Normally, such characteristics wouldn't manifest themselves, but Harvey's hair was hard to miss as they had given him a special hair color.